Hey guys, guy in a wheelchair here, and today we're responding to a video by YouTube user The Theology entitled, "Is Morality Universal? The Moral Argument, Proof of God?" Here we go again.
Can you be good without God? Let's find out. Absolutely astounding. There you have it. Undeniable proof that you can be good without believing in God. But wait, the question isn't, can you be good without believing in God? The question is, can you be good without God? See, here's the problem. If there is no God, what basis remains for objective good or bad, right or wrong? If God does not exist, objective moral values do not exist.
So you can be good without believing in God, but not without God. I don't see a difference there. If you don't believe in God, are you not without God? If you don't believe in Him, you don't incorporate Him into your life, and if that's the case, does He really make a difference?
Without some objective reference point, we have no way of saying that something is really up or down. God's nature provides an objective reference point for moral values. It's the standard against which all actions and decisions are measured. But if there's no God, there's no objective reference point. All we're left with is one person's viewpoint, which is no more valid than anyone else's viewpoint.
Okay, so I understand what he's trying to do here with the animations, but when he says there's no objective viewpoint without God and then shows a bunch of people floating around arbitrarily in space, that is completely misleading and inaccurate. Any human in that situation would identify Earth as the point of view because that's what we're all familiar with. There's a difference between a physical viewpoint and a moral viewpoint.
This kind of morality is subjective, not objective. It's like a preference for strawberry ice cream. The preference is in the subject, not the object. So it doesn't apply to other people. In the same way, subjective morality applies only to the subject. It's not valid or binding for anyone else. So, in a world without God, there can be no evil and no good. Nothing but blind, pitiless indifference.
Okay, so let me just point out for the record that there are many instances in society where a subjective viewpoint is shared by a large group of people. For instance, the majority of America believes it's okay to indoctrinate and brainwash your kids into your cult.
God has expressed His moral nature to us as commands. These provide the basis for moral duties. For example, God's essential attribute of love is expressed in His command to love your neighbor as yourself. This command provides a foundation upon which we can affirm the objective goodness.
Okay, so he uses the line, "Love thy neighbor as thyself," to show God's love in the Bible. That is cherry picking if I've ever seen it. What about gay people must be put to death? Or disobedient children must be put to death? Or people who work on Sunday must be put to death? Or it's okay to rape women as long as you can pay for it? What about that?
Of generosity, self-sacrifice, and equality.
Wait a minute. Was God being kind or generous when He rained down fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah? Was He being equal when He made women second-class citizens?
And we can condemn as objectively evil greed, abuse, and discrimination.
How can you not realize what you're saying? God is abusive and discriminative all over the Bible. What about slavery? What about women's suffrage?
This raises a problem. Is something good just because God wills it, or does God will something because it is good? The answer is neither one. Rather, God wills something because He is good.
Oh sure, God's great. He was just having a bad day when He created a flood to kill 99.9% of the things on Earth. That's no big deal.
God is the standard of moral values, just as a live musical performance is the standard for a high-fidelity recording.
Without your love.
The more a recording sounds like the original, the better it is. Likewise, the more closely a moral action conforms to God's nature, the better it is.
The closer your actions are to God, the better they are. So go kill your neighbor and take his virgin daughters. Go ahead and drown his cats in the bathtub too. That's great.
But if atheism is true, there is no ultimate standard. So there can be no moral obligations or duties. Who or what lays such duties upon us? No one. Remember, for the atheist, humans are just accidents of nature.
I am so sick of hearing that humans are an accident of nature. Humans are a product of natural selection, a very thorough and selective process, not an accident.
Highly evolved animals. But animals have no moral obligations to one another. When a cat kills a mouse, it hasn't done anything morally wrong. The cat's just being a cat. If God doesn't exist, we should view human behavior in the same way. No action should be considered morally right or wrong.
There are things like murder that are considered universally wrong both by humans and animals because our primary goal is to keep our species alive, to which murder is counterproductive. If a wolf murders another wolf, he is ostracized, kicked out of the pack. If a human murders a human, he's ostracized. We throw him in jail. He's cut off from the rest of society. Because that's not going to help keep our species going.
But the problem is, good and bad, right and wrong, do exist. Just as our sense experience convinces us that the physical world is objectively real, our moral experience convinces us that moral values are objectively real. Every time you say, "Hey, that's not fair, that's wrong, that's an injustice," you affirm your belief in the existence of objective morals. We're well aware that child abuse, racial discrimination, and terrorism are wrong for everybody, always. Is this just a personal preference or opinion?
Yes, we are well aware that they're wrong because number one, we have empathy, and number two, that's not going to help keep our species alive.
Atheism fails to provide a foundation for the moral reality every one of us experiences every day.
Of course, atheism doesn't provide a foundation for morality. Atheism, unlike Christianity, is not a belief system. Atheism is just a simple statement, I do not believe that there is a God.
In fact, the existence of objective morality points us directly to the existence of God.
Look, according to your line of thinking, the existence of a God means the existence of objective morality. If you cannot prove the existence of God, then you have no argument for objective morality. If you can't do that, sir, then I'm sorry, but your idea is wrong.